Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Outlier Room, where we bring you conversations with people who are shaping industries, communities, and the future through courageous leadership. Today's guest is someone who has seamlessly combined entrepreneurship, governance, education, public leadership, and community service. She serves as the executive chair of Quality New Zealand Group, is an elected regional councillor for Environment Canterbury, chairs multiple organizations, and has spent years helping businesses and communities build sustainable futures. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Nettles Lamont to today's podcast. Welcome, Nettles.
Nitya, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be spending time with you today. I spent time with you about a month ago in India, and we had a great time and kicked some serious goals with our business interests and what we're doing. So lovely to chew the fat today.
Thank you so much, Nettles. It's always a pleasure for me and my team to work with you, to listen to you, to collaborate and work on some of those amazing ideas which you have helped us create. So now with this, Nettles, I want to ask you one very important question. You have worn many hats throughout your career.
Mm,
Entrepreneur, company chair, education leader, community
mm.
advocate, and now elected regional councillor. Which of these roles had taught you the most about leadership?
Oh, wow. I think rather than picking one role, uh, there have been nuggets of gold that I've learned from each and every role. And sometimes the gold is in learning something to do something in a better way, or to stop doing something, to pause, reflect, and go again, to sometimes to fail fast and then reset. Each of the roles that I've had and currently have, they're very, very different. And in that way, they're complementary because they keep different parts of your brain firing. And I'm constantly having to to think and jump between doing working with charities, working in education, working in government advocacy, working as an elected member for my communities, working in international export. There is always a lot going on within each of the roles. I take those learnings and apply it to other roles. So at the end of the day, it helps, or else I'll just stop there. You have to edit that bit. Sorry.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
I think that talks a lot about your personality, how beautifully you manage and juggle between the roles as well. My another question, Nettles, to you is: if someone met you outside work and had zero idea about your professional achievements, which are some extremely big achievements, uh, what would they discover about the real Nettles?
People think I'm an extrovert, but I think I'm an introverted extrovert because I spend a lot of time with people and in the public eye. That at the end of the day sometimes can take so much energy. I've found, especially of late, I really appreciate the moments of peace and reflection, and it helps me to be better in my day job. So I love people. Everything starts with people. He tangata, he tangata, he tangata. The Māori word for it's the people, it's the people, it's the people. We do what we do for people, whether it's in education, whether it's helping with business and export and communities. It comes back to people and giving a lot. I get more back when I'm working with people. But for all of us, you need take time to reset and go. And for me, that's that time when I can just have periods of quiet. I might read, I might listen to music, I may look out the window at something green because I love green. Green's the colour of genius and inspiration. So those moments just help me go forward every day.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think nobody could have summed it better than you. Nettles, have seen very few leaders, and especially you are one of the leaders who walk the talk. And you have always, set an example for us as the members of the fraternity and then in the management group that we work together. I want to ask you one thing. Leadership today looks very different from what it was 20 years ago. I want to ask you, what in your opinion has fundamentally changed in that?
Leadership used to be a lot more about the bosses being directive and giving orders and expecting people to follow a very linear lead. Leadership today is about being collaborative, about listening to the voices around you. And the best leaders I see today are those that surround themselves with people that are better than them and in various aspects, so everybody grows together. Leadership now is about a team rather than an I.
Wow, beautiful. I think that's all about how we at Quality New Zealand also work. And as you said, it's about the people. So it's not about a single individual who's taking all the decisions. It's about the collective people, the consciousness of all of them working together. Beautifully described. Nettles,
Yeah.
my other question is, you have had a very long career and still it is continuing, and we think that it's going to be another. Absolutely. And we hope that it's going to be there for 50, 60 more years as well. I want to ask you one thing, Nettles. Looking back, was there a defining moment that completely changed the trajectory of your career? In any of the roles that you have played in any of the organizations where you think was a game changer for you in terms of your career trajectory?
There were a few moments early in my career when I was first involved in education. I was working for another organisation, and it was a handshake agreement that I would build the South Island of New Zealand, the business in that area. And then we would talk about being joint owners. And at that stage, I was maybe quite naive in terms of not making sure that contracts were in place. And I was luckily I was quite successful, and they wanted $500,000 in a year to build $500,000 worth of business in a year. And I built $1 million in 6 months because my previous life was as an accountant. So I had lots of connections and could connect with businesses and built it quite quickly. And when I took that to the colleagues that I had the handshake agreement with, they said, "Thanks very much. We'll take that business. We don't need you anymore." And for me, that was devastating. I was still quite young, and I just didn't know where to go from that. And I took time away, probably for a month. I just wanted to hide under my bed because I thought, I can't do this. It's too cutthroat. But that school of hard knocks taught me a lot. It really showed what I had in reserves of resilience. And a good friend said to me, "You don't need them. You can build this yourself." And it took time for me to start believing that. The moment I started believing that, it changed my mindset. So I went out and started my own company doing the same thing. And that was how Conquest Training started. And now, almost 20 years on, Conquest is still going and thriving. And it was finding in those moments of turmoil, the self-belief to know I can do this and to go again and have the resilience and that I've kept that lesson close to me with everything else I have done in life. Just keeping that belief that anything is possible if you work hard enough at it and you have that growth mindset. You listen and you adapt and you change. It's amazing what an individual can achieve with those around them. So that was one of the defining moments for me.
Wow, wow, wow. So much to learn from you, Nettles. And there are very few leaders whom I have worked with, and I believe that they know about the industry, and you are one of them. So, and I know that how much time and effort you put in deciding on every single aspect of the education business, especially the training part of it. And I have seen very few leaders who know the industry so much as much you know. So this is something which is extremely, inspirational for me and my team and the listeners of today's podcast as well. So with that, Nettles, I want to ask you one thing. You have spent decades working in education and workforce capability in the training industry. How do you see education and training changing over the next 10 years?
I think one of the biggest fundamental shifts is AI. And some of us are slow in the uptake, others are fast. But AI is fundamentally changing how we learn and how we interact with information. And it has put everything on fast forward. Our access to information has never been greater. With that comes the biggest challenge about managing the expectations of AI so that AI can be a force for good. And with some of the entities I'm involved with at the moment, we also have AI on the risk register because there needs to be parameters around the use of AI. The AI is a wonderful, wonderful thing, but we must remember AI relies on knowing information and making inferences. There's also a huge space there for creative thinking alongside AI. Those two together create absolute gold. So I'm really looking forward to see how we evolve with collaborating with AI and how fast change will continue. It was Moore's law that technology doubles and the price halves every year, and I think that's now that curve is going like that, and goodness knows where it's going to end. What do you think, Nitya? You're very involved in this space.
Thank you,
You're
Nettles.
a leader in this space. I'm really interested in what you think.
I'm just learning from you, Nettles, but I seriously believe what you've said. AI is going to change the dynamics of the industry. But I think the actual word and the abbreviation of AI is not artificial intelligence for me. It is how academia and industry will evolve together. Because this entire terminology of AI, a lot of people can't even comprehend what it is. It is still a
Mm.
buzzword. And we can see that every single organization is, hiring people in AI, but they don't even themselves know what they require in AI. So I think that gap needs to be bridged. And the next year are going to be, I think, the most defining period for our industry, especially the education and training industry, that will shape the next 100 years of how the entire ecosystem is going to evolve. So completely agree with you, Nettles. Thank you. So with that, Nettles, I have another question, and it is something which is very important because whenever we talk about education, we talk about training, we also talk about employability. And many graduates today worry about employability. If you were advising a 22-year-old entering the workforce tomorrow, what would be your top three piece of advice to that person?
I think keeping an open mind, going in with a clear thought about where you want to go, but keeping an open mind on the trajectory of how that may happen. I see some young graduates going into a job and seeing a point in the distance and thinking it is a linear place from A to B. The best learning for a career is sometimes zigzagging and changing, and even changing industries, because that keeps your mind fresh and you're constantly learning, and those learnings can be employed as you go through the steps. The more exposure you have to different people and different thinking, that's gold. That really, really helps us to be well-rounded as people. I think it's increasingly important to have an understanding of geopolitics, whereas a decade, 2 decades ago, we, within our communities, were quite insular. These days, something happening on a global scale, the state of Hormuz, for example, now is creating a huge disruption for me all the way down in New Zealand because of the fuel crisis. Fuel and fertilizer are two things we absolutely rely on in our country, and because of a war a long way away from us, that's having an impact. So those geopolitical tensions can have implications, and as we are trying to work efficiently and productively in our companies, we have to be strategically thinking each step. If this happens, how will we react? You have to keep being a step ahead of the curve rather than being reactive. It's those individuals and those companies that can be preempting. They're the ones that will come out on top. Same for people in the workforce, in their careers. Just preempt, move, stop, think, look around, and reset, and go again, and go again, and go again, and don't give up.
Wow, wow, wow. I think it will solve most of the problems that the world is facing right now if we do it right. So, Nettles, you have moved from corporate boardrooms into public governance through Environment Canterbury. I want to understand, and even our listeners want to know, how can government, businesses, educational institutions can collaborate in a better way to solve complex problems like climate change, workforce shortages, and regional development? How they can come together and solve it?
Honestly, I wish I knew. I've spent I have spent my life in the private sector pretty much, and this is my first foray being an elected local body politician. A lot of the challenges are the same, but on a bigger scale. But we have the bandwidth to be thinking about more things around the environment and climate change, and how do we help communities change and adapt. The answer will be in many conversations and collaborations and trust, building trust between those private and public partnerships. The governments have the benefit of scale in terms of financial resources and control of some of their infrastructure to help make change. But the fact that they are so big, they are behemoth of organizations, they are slow Private organisations, on the other hand, can often adapt quickly and take on new technologies to show change, but they don't have the bandwidth to give effect to these at large scale. I think as time goes on, we will see more collaborative industries attempting to really move the dial on things like climate change, on greenhouse emissions, on nitrates in water, on so many things that are affecting us and will affect our children and grandchildren and societies going forward.
I think it makes sense, especially at this point of time, how you look at it from that aspect. I think definitely it does. So that is my other question to you is, people often look sustainability, especially, it is often discussed as an environmental issue. Do you think it's equally a leadership issue?
It's an issue for each and every one of us. Absolutely. It's something that needs to be front of mind from when we are small children. And each and every one of us can't think, right, it's time to think about sustainability now. I think it needs to be in every action we do, from when we wake to when we sleep, within our companies, within our households, for individuals, for all of us. It's the only way that we will be able to protect our planet and keep thriving as a global society. Would you agree?
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. So, Nettles, I want to ask you one thing, and I keep wondering how you have founded and led multiple successful organizations, right? Right from your first one to working with us as an executive chair now at Quality New Zealand. I want to understand, when you evaluate people for leadership roles, especially, what are the qualities that impress you the most?
Seeing somebody that's brave. If someone's in an interview and they're saying just what I expect them to say at every point, that's okay. But in my head, I'm thinking, is that person going to change the world? Do they have that mindset that they're going to be brave and have the courage to step outside the box of, I use the word respectability, but you know what I mean. Be brave to get out of that box and take a risk, say something unexpected, be slightly out of the box. It's those people that just make the magic happen. And I love seeing leaders of the future in front of me that they just bring joy, because you know they're going to make the magic happen.
Wow. I think that most important takeaway for me and my listeners for today would be brave in bold. I think beautiful, beautiful. Nobody could have summed it better than you. Nettles, my other question is, uh, especially, and I have seen you working, uh, and it is an absolute honor and privilege for me to work under you, under your leadership. I want to understand, and I keep wondering, I have not seen any leader doing it better than you. How do you build culture, especially where people genuinely enjoy coming to work or working together? Because I have seen when we work with you, there's a different dynamic in the industry, especially the team that we are working with. We all enjoy working. How have you built that kind of culture?
I use the word joy a lot, but it's about joy. It's bringing the joy. Going to work. Work sounds like yuck. Who wants to go to work? You want to go to joy. You want to head towards great things. So work has to become the joy. So it's sharing the hope for life, the hope for success, the just pulling the best out of people, and then together we can be better than better. And listening to people and bringing them into the what is possible. That's the great thing. Collaborating with people. I don't see my teams as me and them. It's us together. What can we do? And respecting every wonderful individual and the part that they have to play in the greater whole. That's really important in building the culture, and culture is everything, because it's about the people first and foremost.
Yes. Absolutely. And we can see it. Whatever you have said, you actually are living by that example. So, Nettle, as an executive chair of Quality New Zealand Group, what excites you most about the future of Quality New Zealand over the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, with Quality New Zealand and Quality New Zealand Education, it's very exciting. The free trade agreement has just been inked and it's coming into being between New Zealand and India. And so for that side of the business, it's wonderful. It's the doors are being flung open for increased trade with all sorts of products and services between our countries without the impediments of tariffs or reduced tariffs in a lot of cases. So that is so wonderful, and the free trade agreement is going both ways. So in terms of education, there's more opportunities for our people to be learning from each other in terms of education and experiences. And the sky's the limit. It's just, I'm so excited, especially within education, that you just to see what's possible for us, because I think there is so much possible. Already you've done this wonderful work collaborating with some of our universities and polytechs and giving so many of our people opportunities to be experiencing education and the world, global education in a different way. And that is just going to go from strength to strength. And I can't wait to see what's possible.
Brilliant. Superb. Nettles, one question, and I think I want to ask you, though you are an inspiration for each one of us, but especially when I interact with my team members, especially the female team members, and the ones who are in the community that we work with, you have many fans, and the people who admire you, your style of working and leadership. I want to know from you, Nettles, what does women empowerment really mean to you?
When I first started on my career journey, there were many glass ceilings at school and at high school. I went to an all-girls school. The teachers said, anything is possible. Girls can do anything. And I really did believe that. It was funny. I have had 4 older brothers and I was the youngest, the only girl. And so it was a bit of the school of hard knocks. So it wasn't an easy childhood, and I had to fight to be heard. But when I left school and into my first job and second job, there was still, they were invisible, but there were barriers, because there was this expectation that, you can go out there and be an accountant and do this, but that there was still this thing that if you stopped work and, for example, took some time to have children, well, then if you went back to work, maybe you'd work part-time, or those getting to senior management and sort of board levels, they seemed to get further and further away, and associated with that was this gender pay gap, which was absolutely wrong. It still exists, but less so. That a male in the same role would get more money. That is crazy. I'm very, very, very supportive of women taking leadership roles, because honestly, that diversity is just good for all of us. For generations, we've had there are great male leaders. I'm not saying there aren't, but for generations we've had one way of thinking, in a way that male thinking. The bringing the diversity of women in leadership spaces just adds a dimension that brings in a humanness that benefits us all. So I absolutely applaud everybody empowering women to go as far as they can or they want to in their careers.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think whenever we discuss as well, you keep asking me about how, the female team members are feeling. And when you recently met them also in one of our outings, when we all met, you were especially taking care of them. And they are really very, very inspired from you, Nettles. So thank you so much for living by that example and being an inspiration, not just for them, for each one of us in the organization and beyond as well. So now we come to the most interesting part, which I love the most. That's the rapid fire one word answer
I'm
for all
getting
the
scared
questions.
by this next bit.
So I love, and these are the, I think, I just love asking these questions. What I know from you. So we'll start, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Wow. Book or podcast?
Book.
Wow. My same one. Morning person or a night owl?
Night. 100% night.
Brilliant. One leadership book everyone should read.
Yours.
Thank you so much. One habit that changed your life.
As soon as I get out of bed in the morning, I make my bed, because
Oh,
you win the morning, you win the day.
brilliant, brilliant. And I've seen you, even when you were in India, the first person to wake up and hit the gym was you. Always living by that example. Brilliant. And I don't know, where do you get that energy? Extremely energetic right from the beginning of the day to 12 o'clock at night. You are all about energy. So brilliant, beautiful. Uh,
Thank you.
innovation or stability?
Innovation.
Brilliant. One person who has inspired you the most.
There isn't one person. I take inspiration from those around me every day. I will take inspiration from a person I see keeping the local park clean and emptying the bins, just by the diligence and the care that they are doing their role with. I wouldn't ever limit it to one person, because every day I find somebody else that is inspiring me.
Wow. And that reminds me of President John F. Kennedy of United States of America. When they first went to the space, he came to the space center and he congratulated the janitor first. He said, "We made it." So that's the kind of example we see you, living by that example on a daily basis. Uh, New Zealand, one favorite destination that everyone should visit.
I would say everyone loves to go to Queenstown, but Lake Purple is absolutely wonderful. In the South Island, there's Tekapo. I live in Canterbury, and obviously that's my favourite. And I'm a councillor in Canterbury, so it's the we had a devastating earthquake about 15 years ago, and the city has been rebuilt, and it's just a joy to behold now, and it's the gateway to the whole South Island, which is the most beautiful part of our country. So please come, everybody come.
Yes.
I'll show you around. I'll shout you a coffee.
Brilliant, brilliant. So I think all the listeners and viewers of the podcast, mark it. Canterbury is the next place that you should visit when you are in New Zealand. And last
Absolutely.
one in the rapid fire is one word that defines your philosophy of life.
Probably joy.
Wow. And nothing would have summed it better. Nettles, now, final question to you is, if you could leave one message for the young leaders around the world who want to make a meaningful impact, not just build successful careers, what would that message be for them?
Keep your self-belief, be resilient, fail fast, set and go again and go again and go again. You know in your heart what is right. Keep your values, be values driven, and anything is possible.
Brilliant. Anything is possible. And we have somebody today who is living by that example. So thank you so much, Nettles. Thank you for sharing your remarkable journey, your insights on leadership, governance, education, women empowerment, and building stronger communities. It's inspiring, extremely inspiring to see someone who believes that leadership is ultimately about creating opportunities for others and leaving every organization and every community better than you found it. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Outlier Room. Thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you, Nitya. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.